Welcome to Ask Lincoln. All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Today we're diving into one of the most bizarre and meme-worthy policy moves of 2025, Trump's latest TikTok deadline extension. We're talking about a platform that somehow sits at the center of national security, free speech, trade wars, and let's be honest, a whole lot of Gen Z dance challenges. And of course, to help us break it all down, I've got the one and only Honest Abe Lincoln. Abe, how you feeling about all this?
Well, I'll say this much. Back in my day, I thought I'd seen enough political flip-flopping to last a few lifetimes. But watching Trump go from TikTok as a Chinese spy app to let's give it another 75 days because, hey, why not? That's a level of indecision that would make even Congress blush.
Right? It's like we're watching a real-time episode of Deal or No Deal, except instead of a briefcase, we're playing with the future of 170 million American users.
And instead of a banker on the phone, we've got President Xi lurking somewhere off stage, holding veto power over any sale.
Exactly. So, let's rewind for a second. In 2024, Congress passed this law forcing ByteDance to sell TikTok or face a full ban. The Supreme Court even upheld it, right?
Correct. Congress said, sell it or shut it down. Pretty clear. The clock was ticking for January 19th. Then Trump steps in as president again and starts handing out deadline extensions like Halloween candy. First 75 days, then another. Now we're in extension number 3. The man's treating national security like it's a season pass to Six Flags.
So, is there an actual deal in motion? Or is this just political theater?
Well, officially, they claim there are multiple suitors. Oracle, Microsoft, private equity types sniffing around. But let's be honest, this isn't like selling a hot dog stand. You're talking about a complex foreign asset tied up in Chinese regulations, national security reviews, intellectual property disputes. Not to mention, Beijing might have to approve any sale that touches their algorithm. This deal isn't in progress. It's more like stuck in customs.
And in meantime, the White House just keeps kicking the can down the road. But here's the thing, this law only allowed one extension if a deal was close. Trump's now on his third. Legally speaking, is this even allowed?
Legally, questionable. Congress wrote a pretty strict statute. One extension if negotiations are active. After that, the clock was supposed to run out. What Trump's doing now walks a fine line. Not quite violating the letter of the law, but absolutely pushing its spirit. And you know what? That's classic Trump. He's playing to the crowd, not the legal scholars.
Speaking of the crowd, let's talk about Gen Z. They're losing their minds over this. TikTok's not just an app to them. It's their main source of news, culture, income even.
And that's where it gets sticky. You've got young voters who see this as personal. Take away their platform, and it's not just free speech at stake, it's livelihoods. Influencers, small businesses, creators, many of them have built entire careers around TikTok's algorithm. You're not just banning an app, you're deleting someone's business model.
Right. But then the national security crowd says, that's fine. But China's still got backdoor access to all this data.
Absolutely. Let's not pretend there aren't valid concerns. ByteDance operates under Chinese law. That means if Beijing demands access, ByteDance can't exactly say no. And we've seen China weaponize data before. But here's the irony. Even if you ban TikTok, most of that user data is already floating around on data broker markets. China could buy it off a third-party vendor tomorrow.
So is banning TikTok really solving the problem?
Not really. It's like trying to plug one hole in a leaky boat while ignoring the dozen others. If we're serious about data privacy, we need comprehensive data protection laws. Banning one app might win you political points, but it doesn't fix systemic issues in how personal data is bought, sold, and traded every day.
It also feels a little hypocritical, right? I mean, the US bans TikTok, but we cry foul when China bans Facebook or YouTube.
That's the game. Both sides play it. China says you're bullying us. We say you're stealing our data. It's Cold War 2.0, but instead of nukes, we've got viral memes and trade sanctions.
Let's pivot to the political side for a second. Trump's getting a ton of heat for this flip-flop. Even some of his supporters are confused. First, he wanted to ban TikTok. Now, he's extending the deadline multiple times. What's the strategy here?
Honestly, pure political calculus. He knows young voters use TikTok heavily. In fact, part of his own campaign outreach has leveraged TikTok influencers. He doesn't want to lose that engagement. So he's threading the needle, look tough on China, but keep TikTok alive just long enough to keep the kids happy. He's trying to eat his cake and have it too.
And it's working. Gen Z might not love him, but they're certainly still scrolling.
Exactly. And every day TikTok remains online. Advertisers, creators, and influencers keep making money, and that creates more political pressure not to ban it.
Here's my last big question. Abe, this law gives presidents a ton of power over online platforms now. What happens if a future president decides to apply this power in, let's say, less savory ways?
That's the real danger here. Today, it's TikTok. Tomorrow, it could be any platform that falls out of favor. You could argue that it opens the door for future leaders to weaponize national security claims against platforms they don't politically like. I fought a civil war over the balance of federal power. And let me tell you, executive overreach in the digital era, that's a powder keg waiting for a spark.
Well said. We're playing a long game here. Short-term wins might feel good, but they could come back to bite us later. Abe, as always, thanks for keeping it honest. And a little uncomfortable.
Hey, I'm just here to remind people that even 160 years later, democracy is still complicated.
That's why we keep having these conversations. Folks, let us know your take in the comments. Should TikTok be banned? Sold? Or are we all just addicted to the free page? Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.
That's it for now. Got more questions? Subscribe and ask me live. I'll answer right in the stream. I'm Abraham Lincoln. See you next time.